I've got another confession to make. I'm your fool. Everyone's got their chains to break, holding you. Were you born to resist or be abused? Is someone getting the best of you? This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, tearing the town up one side and down the other. How you doing?
I'm doing terrific.
Yeah, good.
I might know that.
Ooh.
The best of you.
Yes.
I can hear the song in my head.
Oh, well, I kind of phrased it.
Yeah, you did a gooder job this time of not just saying it, but kind of half singing it. It's on the tip of my tongue here. Anyway, I'll make a guess in a minute.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, big week.
Always a big week. There's no such thing as a slow news day.
No, especially with the whole Trump impeachment starting up and
whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean it's amazing with all of the things going on in the world how entire networks can just zero in on this with the same. We met that show a while back where I talked about how I accidentally watched the Sunday shows.
Yeah.
And the roundtables haven't changed since Eisenhower was president. Okay?
Right.
They're still wheeling in George Will, and they're still bringing in Bill Kristol and David Brooks and the same old people. It amazes me how 24/7 there's nothing going on.
Right.
In the world, unless there's a shooting. If there's a shooting somewhere, then we have to try to link that to a Republican or something like that.
Right.
But if that doesn't happen, it's just 24/7. And I don't know if anybody can stomach it. I mean, we went through this in the Clinton years where I think so many people were so sick of it that I think it did backfire on the people who were trying to remove him.
I think it did too.
Whatever your opinion is, I think that the media also aided the White House at that time with their talking points.
Yeah.
This is just bizarre. I mean, bizarre with a capital B. I mean, most people I know couldn't find Ukraine on a map. And I'm still unclear as to what the high crime or misdemeanor is. I mean,
they're going after the bribery portion. In the Constitution, it lists, 3 ways. There's treason, bribery, and then high crimes and misdemeanors. They are going after the bribery portion of that because they want to tie the call. I mean, that's really all they're focusing on is this call, where they're saying there's quid pro quo happening, and
so Trump's getting paid by somebody. That's bribery.
He was refusing. It wasn't money. I mean, he was holding back money from Ukraine, they say, because
which is fine with me.
Well, and
you can do that all day and night.
That's the thing. They're saying that he withheld this in order to get political favors regarding Joe Biden. But this is not about Joe Biden. This is about something way deeper than Joe Biden. This is about an entire corrupt DNC that has a media that's been backing them up. And
but let me ask you a question this way: if there's legitimacy behind the Bidens or Biden's son or however he ended up getting this job, then how is asking to investigate something a bribe? I mean, it's not like saying, okay, look, you're not getting your Social Security check, okay, unless blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I mean, that's very different here, and we're under no obligation to pay Ukraine anything.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. I mean, we're talking about the President of the United States, and they're trying to say that he did this because of a re-election campaign, and that's why they're focusing on the Bidens. If you take a look at the bigger picture, which is why the Democrats won't let certain people testify in this.
Or won't let the president and his allies call witnesses.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying, is because it would implicate the larger picture with the DNC. They need to keep it on this phone call because that keeps it on Biden. If they can keep it on Biden.
I'd like to eavesdrop on Nancy Pelosi's phone calls or Chuck Schumer's phone calls.
Yeah.
See what they're saying to people. I'd like to see Nancy Pelosi call up somebody. Hey, you want the money for your reelection? You want to be on the blah 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 committee? Well, then you're going to vote for this, this, and this. That's 100% bribery.
Right.
I mean,
right. And this wasn't at all. I mean, when you look at the larger picture with 2016, an election that was tampered with by oligarchs in Ukraine, this becomes an issue of national interest. And this is no longer about getting political favors for re-election. This is about uncovering something much, much, much bigger.
Well, we'll have to see what happens then. I mean, I'm kind of actually anxious to see what comes out of it. I mean, as bad as
nothing's going to come out of it in the House. It's got to go to the Senate.
No. I mean, not necessarily these hearings. I'm just saying, generally speaking, because. Let me ask you this question. If the Democrats know that, why are they proceeding with this?
Well, they're trying to damage Trump so badly that he loses
So this is all about his reelection.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think when he's reelected, I think he's going to be reelected anyway.
Yeah. I do too.
They're going to continue with this the very next day?
Oh, they will. I mean, they're going to have to change their strategy, but they're looking right now at the election in 2020.
Well, AOC admitted that pretty much the other day.
Yeah.
And there's another Democratic rep. I was looking for it today. Said, look, we either impeach this guy or he wins.
Right. Yeah, it was, Al Green.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Not the singer.
No, not the singer.
Yeah. So, I mean, their motives couldn't be...
They're out there. They're just stating them, and this is the thing, that they believe that they can sully President Trump enough that he doesn't win re-election, and because the Senate is going to pull for not removing him from office, that they can also drag the Senate down with the president and win all three branches, or not three branches. Sorry, win the two branches, the two. Houses of the legislature.
That's a pretty big long shot. The Senate numbers just aren't there, but that's fool's gold if they're thinking that.
Well, that's their play.
In fact, I think they're going to lose seats again, just like I predicted they would last time, and they did.
I hope they lose a bunch in the House.
Well,
after all of this crap,
the House. I mean, it can cut both ways. I mean, there's any number of ways that can break that down, because when you look at the House, there's 435 seats, but really only 70, 80, 90 are really up for grabs.
Right.
I think there's less than 100.
Right.
So you're going to have 150 Republicans and 150 Democrats no matter what. And so all the money, all of the focus, all the outside groups
will go into the swing districts.
Are going to go on those 100 races. We got them here in Minnesota. We probably have 4 or 5 of them.
Right.
I mean, you've got 4, 5, and 6. Forget those.
Right.
The other 5 are pretty open. I think Pete Stauber's probably the strongest.
Safe in 8, yeah.
I think the weakest probably is Hagedorn or Angie Craig.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if Colin Peterson is officially running again. I've heard that he's undecided.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I think that seat will fall the second that he doesn't.
It's interesting. It seems like he's hedging his bets, and he's siding with the more conservatives.
Yeah, the 5 that are left. I mean, there's not many.
Yeah, I mean,
by the way, it just came to me.
Okay.
The Foo Fighters.
Yes,
Thank
you did it. You did it.
9 1/4.
Oh, no.
All right.
9.
Anyway, finish your thought, Jay.
Just that I've seen him kind of hedging his bets and going with a more conservative angle than going over the edge with all the crazies. So I
he
think,
voted against the inquiry.
Yeah,
pretty much. It was like 4 of them that voted against it.
So I think it's
I'm
possible.
sure they're the 4 most vulnerable next year.
It's probably true.
I mean, if you're in CD5 and you don't vote for it, you probably get primaried. So I mean, I'm just saying. So
I like having Ilhan Omar around.
You do.
It's like a Christmas gift every week.
I think it's a disgrace, even if
it is.
Even
don't
if
get me wrong.
Even if she's dumb as a rock, I mean,
don't get me wrong. I mean, it's disgraceful, but when you have people like that around, it makes takes some of the pressure off of your side.
I think I've said before what the president needs to do is talk about he's starting to listen to our show because he's talking about the economy in every speech.
Yeah.
He's talking about peace in the world, and he's mentioned that. He was at a rally in Louisiana tonight where he talked about how no troops are fighting in foreign wars and blah, blah, blah. And he needs to say a third thing, and he's getting there.
Yeah.
And I think he'll get there soon. But the campaign really needs to come down to, look, I am the one thing standing between this country and socialism. You might not like me, you might not like my tweets, you might not blah, 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 but I am the one thing standing in between that. And he has to harp on that.
Yeah, and
But he's starting to
I think he
move
can.
there.
There's a lot of people that just don't get it, but I think that the case can be made, and I think there's enough voters that are old enough to remember the Soviet Union.
Well, and there's
East
also
Germany. Yeah.
There's also here's another thing I do. Take every Democratic debate and make 30 commercials out of each debate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get them all saying.
Absolutely.
And just run those and run. Trump doesn't have to be in any of them. Just run them and run them and run them.
Yes.
Have AOC and Omar and Raghib Tlaib or Aqib Tlaib or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And put them side by side with whoever the Democratic nominee is and get the quotes the same.
Yep.
So, there's ways to do this where, he can win by default. And so, anyhow, enough with that.
Okay.
Jay, I got to ask you something.
Yes. Fire away.
We've talked about this equity stuff in schools.
We got to talk about this today.
And partly.
Okay.
And the differences between equality and equity, they're not the same.
No, they're not.
Okay. Ever wonder where your referendum dollars went in
Every
Robbinsdale
day.
schools?
Every day.
I don't know if this is directly where they went. I am astonished. And this is from ardale.org, the roster of, what would you call this? The 40-man roster of equity stuff going on at Robbinsdale. Take a guess, Jay, and I'll just pick a number. How many employees, directly or indirectly, are dealing with quote-unquote equity at the Robbinsdale School District? Now,
yes,
that may not exactly be their title, but this page alone is...
Yeah. Well, if you were to ask me, just how many people do you think are, have positions working in the district dealing specifically with equity, I would probably say 4 or 5. That's not a reasonable number, but thinking how these people think, that's overload. For me, the magic number would be 0, but it's government; they waste. But you're going to tell me a different number. I have a feeling. Yeah, you're still counting them up.
21.
21.
That's what I count.
There aren't even 21.
Yeah. Let me start with this. Now, I don't know if this is
Ridiculous.
equity or not, but it's all on the same thing here. Administration and coordinators. Program director, Tamur. I'm going to have a fun time trying to pronounce.
Do you want? I can sometimes do.
Tamuriel Grace.
Yes, that's
program director.
Tamuriel Grace. Yes.
Divana Powell, the Achievement and Integration Administration Assistant. Linda Tadlock. Sorry. Tadlock.
Yes. Yeah, she sends out the district emails and stuff.
Oh, really?
Like that.
Okay.
Yes.
She is the Family Engagement and Indian Education Administration Assistant. Holy cow. Oh, that's extra money for those business cards. Robert Riviera, the Family Engagement Specialist. We need a Family Engagement Specialist?
Well, families might not be too engaged.
Oh, Riviera. That's right. That's a hotel in Vegas. Okay. Family... more. What is this Indian education? Do we have a reservation here in Robbinsdale School District?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Here's the next one. There's 2 Indian homeschool liaisons. Elena Cabral.
Yes.
Randy
Greshik.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we'll say.
That's what they do. Now everybody's got an equity specialist. Even an elementary school with a couple hundred kids has an equity specialist. Have to have that, Jay, and get that union membership up. The first one at Meadow Lake Elementary, I'll take a crack at this. Sadiq Ahmad.
That's pretty close. Sadiq Ahmed, probably.
Ahmed, okay.
Ahmed, yeah.
Then we got, this person must be Russian and German. Yuri Harper over at Neal Elementary.
Maybe a Russian Jew, yes.
Yeah, possibly.
Yes.
Harry Jackson at Noble Elementary.
Yes.
Sonneson has Matthew Horrell.
Mm-hmm.
What's SEA? Is that the magnet school?
That's it's one of them, yeah.
Steam or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
Albert McGee, must be Willie's brother. Lakeview Monterey. Try it, Jay.
What?
Monoria?
Munira Mohammed.
Okay. Munira,
yeah.
Then we have at Northport, Ashtani Persaud.
Persaud? Well, Ashtani Persaud.
Better known as Miss Ash.
Oh, okay.
Who was that? Spanish immersion? That is Tyrell Webb.
Yes.
Okay, got that one. Second lane, Maria Vallejo.
Vallejo, yeah.
Forest Elementary, Syra Yang, not Wang.
Viejo, that's
right.
Maria Viejo. That's how that's
okay.
pronounced, yes.
So Forest Syra Yang, not Wang.
Yes.
Of course, middle school, we have to have Laverne and Shirley. No.
Laverne Shelby. That's close. Wow. Yeah. Laverne and Shelby.
We have at the unfair school, Andrew Woods. Hey, I can pronounce that. PMS does not have anybody right now. Hey, job opening. Maybe I should apply.
Maybe you should. You'd be a good equity specialist.
I think so.
Yes.
Armstrong High School, Ariana Crosby.
Yes.
And, oh boy, Cooper High School, don't say it. Okay. Fandy Chinsey.
Yeah.
That's not so interesting.
Chinsey, maybe?
Chinsey?
Yeah. Chinsey, yeah.
Chinsey?
Andy Chinsey, yeah.
Okay. So that's our roster of equity people. Mm-hmm. Now, Jay, that's 21 people. Now, think how many teachers we could have in a classroom for that amount of money. I mean, that could be...
I would imagine, they're probably making... What would you guess they're making?
Including benefits?
First, let's just go salary, then let's add benefits on top of it.
Okay, well, it depends where they are in their union pay scale. I'd say they're probably pulling down 50.
Yeah.
And probably 75 if you add benefits to it.
Right, but there's no way to verify that without the school saying this is what they make.
You have no idea.
It's not in the budget.
Well, I don't know how that gets broken. You don't know who's who in the budget. And they have privacy, which I get.
Yeah.
Despite the fact it's our tax dollars. But I mean, that's let's just pretend they're making $50,000 a piece times 20 people.
Yeah.
What is that?
What, 10,000?
50,000 times 20?
Sorry, 50,000.
That's $1 million.
Yes, yes, it is.
So you're probably with pay and benefits. You're probably
public math skills.
Probably. Yes. Hey, I asked what 100 times 11 was on a show once.
That's
the
true.
BST, one of the greatest shows we ever did. So you're looking at somewhere between $1 and $2 million probably a year spent on these folks.
Right. I mean, because you're just going off to base salary there, and you weren't including the benefits. With the benefits at 75, were you thinking that includes para as well, or is that just sick time and?
I would say that's health, that's vacation. It's got to be. I would say a 2-to-1 is not out of line. 25,000 in benefits, 50 in sets, not out of line for a public employee.
Yeah.
Probably pretty accurate. And you got to figure your more experienced person is probably making more because that's the only thing the union cares about.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the steps and lanes are. I don't know if a PhD, I'm sure, makes more than a master's, and a master's makes more than a bachelor's.
Absolutely. I mean, that's absolutely how that works.
Yeah, so,
your bachelor's, and then the number of years, plus they add on hours of continuing ed until you get your master's. Then it's hours of continuing ed and years in job. And then it goes up to PhD.
Lanes, you have your step, and so
steps and lanes, baby.
So, I mean, it's a lot of dough to be spent on. I don't know what does an equity specialist do from 8 to 4:30.
Well,
I mean,
they make sure that
recommend white kids get suspended for tardiness. I mean, is that what they do? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of find it fascinating how much social engineering, how much, and we'll get into this in a little bit, how much focus is off of academics and on to some sort of creating some sort of utopia here where, here's the thing. Let me ask the question, this equity, equality stuff, which is never going to be achieved.
Yeah.
Never going to be achieved. If I'm the coach of a baseball team, Jay, is it my job to make sure everybody is the same? Or is it my job to get the most out of every player, put them in the positions and the batting order that they can maximize the team? So why isn't it that way in education, too? I mean, my goal is not to drag down people who achieve. My goal should be to get them to achieve more.
Right, exactly.
But we have it backwards in school, where the goal is to make everybody the same. The goal is to make everybody mind-numb robots, even though we all know whether it's culture, whether it's home life, whether it's ability, whether it's effort put in.
Yeah.
There's no way you can make that. I mean, I just like to watch a hearing in St. Paul and have somebody point that out.
Right.
And you'll never see it.
No.
You'll just see, well, how can we improve their self-esteem? And I mean, there's no thinking like, wait a sec here.
Exactly. I mean, people are not the same. People are not created equally, but they do have equal rights.
Yeah.
And that's different. Equal opportunity, equal rights, equal justice, but they're not created equally,
But was it any? I mean, think about back when we were in school. I mean, which on the scale of time is not that long ago.
No,
I mean, there were kids who were good at math and stunk at English. There were kids who were good at science, couldn't add 4 + 5. There were kids who were great at reading, who weren't great at math. There were kids who played sports. There were kids who sang in the choir. There were kids who acted in plays. There were kids who went to work after school.
Yeah.
I mean, how in the world can you ever get into a situation where everything just kind of flows and nobody is... I mean, to me, individuality is what I always have believed in. Pushing a person not to be part of a group think or going along with the crowd, but to critically think, question things, come to their own conclusions. That's how we create independent folks.
Absolutely. Find the thing that you were created to do, and you do it to the best of your ability. Because, I mean, otherwise everybody would be a garbage man, or everybody would be a business analyst, or, and that's not the way it is. And to go back to your earlier example, I mean, you're not going to stick a catcher in the number 1 slot.
Well,
usually,
Mitch Garver,
right? There are those that
Joe Mauer was an exception, but you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're not. A 220 hitter's not batting third,
right?
I mean,
exactly 220. You're not going to, in most cases, stick a pitcher in anywhere except number 9 if you're in the National League, and especially if you're in the American League playing a National League team.
Yeah, exactly. Time for the DH everywhere. I think.
Yes.
But, yeah. I know. It's just poppycock, and I cannot believe the amount of time and effort spent on it. But we're not done exploring this today.
No.
It gets worse.
Oh, it does. It gets way worse.
Now, Jay, we have referenced this several times over the past, especially this year, because we've done more education-based programs this year than we did in our first 2 years. We've made reference to these student surveys.
Yes.
That are gone out at what? 5th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 11th grade, or
something like
5th,
that, yeah.
8th, and it doesn't matter.
5th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, I think.
Really? Wow. Do they take them yearly?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Is that what it was? I'll have to look. We'll see when we get into it here.
And I'm going to say something here. It is not easy to obtain these survey questions. I mean, I really had to hunt on the Department of Education's website, and I'm not even 100% sure. Let me see what this website is again.
5th, 8th, 9th, and 11th. Okay.
Okay, so you take 4 times health.state.mn.us/data/whatever. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
The title of it is the 2016 Minnesota Student Survey Statewide Tables.
Yes, so this is from 2016.
Yep.
They're taking the survey again, but we don't have results, or they're in a box somewhere in a church pew or something, and nobody has seen them yet.
In Al Franken's trunk somewhere up the North Shore. I don't know where they're at.
Could be.
Yeah.
Definitely could be. And the questions now, Jay, they've claimed they've done this since 1989. Do you remember taking any of these tests?
I don't.
Or surveys?
No.
I don't either.
I don't.
I don't know if my parents wouldn't let us, or I don't ever remember taking this. So,
no, neither.
As far as I'm concerned, I've never been included in one of these. Not allowed anyway. So, when we're taking students' words for this,
right?
I don't know. Again, individuality. I stress that. But of course, and we're going to go over some of these questions. And you parents out there have the option of opting out of this stuff. But you really need to pay attention to what your kids are, especially the younger kids, are getting asked. It's one thing to ask, I think, a 16, 17, or 18-year-old some of these questions. I still don't think it's relevant to their education.
No, it's not.
But to ask 5th graders some of this stuff?
Yeah. It's sad.
I don't know. I mean, I'm struck by the very first question here.
Yes.
Demographic description, because we can't do anything with Jay without
pigeonholing people.
Yeah, putting labels on people, saying who's gay, straight, man, woman, black, white, brown, pink, green, whatever. We have to start with that.
Yes.
And we say we want a colorblind society, yet everything is broken down by color, by race, by age, by income level. I mean, any way to divide us.
Yes.
And that's the way it is. Here's question number 1. What is your biological sex? Now, when I was in 5th grade, I'm not sure I knew what male and female were. Boy and girl, I would have put it as. The number of people taking this was 41,865 5th graders. 148 had no answer. And they don't get any smarter because in 9th grade, 134 had no answer. And in 11th grade, 105 had no answer.
Yeah.
So right away, we're not sure. A little percent. It's under 1%. But
yes.
Still, X amount of people not sure. I'm struck by how in 5th grade, there were 8 13-year-olds taking the test. You notice that?
Yes.
8th grade, there were 18 16-year-olds taking the test. 9th grade, there were 40 17-year-olds taking the test. A little bit behind the times, aren't we? A little bit, of course.
Oh, in 11th grade, there were 86 19 to 20-year-olds taking the test? Wow.
Well, I'll tell you what, high school, best 7 years of my life. Anyhow. Second question.
Yes.
Now, this is only asked of 9th and 11th graders. Which of the following best describes you? Straight, bisexual, gay or lesbian, not sure. Do you believe 5% of ninth graders in this state are bisexual?
Probably not.
I don't believe that either. Questioning, maybe.
Questioning. I think that with the way that society and television shoves this issue down the throats of our children. It normalizes it. It's possible that many are at least questioning. I think that they'll probably come around sooner or later, but...
Okay. How about the next question?
Wait a second. I want to finish this one out.
Yeah.
So gay or lesbian, 1% of each. Not sure, questioning. These people actually admit to questioning, 5%, 3%. But
that's 9th and 11th grade.
Heterosexual or straight, 9th grade, 89%, and 11th grade, 90%. But yet, where does the majority of our focus end up going?
Yeah, the 1%, 2%, 3%.
Yes.
Well, of course. I mean, they're automatically victims, right? Do you consider yourself transgender, gender queer? I love the word queer. Gender fluid, or unsure about your gender identity? Now, Jay, help me out.
Yes.
Because, again, I don't know pop culture.
Yes.
Okay, to me, MTV is pop culture.
Yes.
What is gender queer, gender fluid?
You're asking me?
Transgender? I mean,
well,
how can a ninth grader be? But how can a ninth grader be transgender? They've changed sex. They took out a scissors and told Mr. Johnson not to show up for work. I mean, how in the world? How could 3%?
I think this also could be I identify as. Okay. I'm a man trapped in a woman's body, or a woman trapped in a man's body, or I don't know what I am. That it's not quite gender fluid. I think gender fluid is like, today I feel like this. Tomorrow I might feel like that. Yesterday I felt this other way. But transgender, it's like, I think you feel like you're locked into this other gender than what you were created to be.
Wow. I'll tell you what, when I was in ninth grade, not only was that stuff the furthest thing from my mind, but I can't think, I'm trying to think back of, I don't remember ever having I don't remember anybody being pressured to identify as something.
Right.
If somebody was unsure, nobody talked about it. Nobody cared. Nobody put a label on anybody's head.
Right.
I don't remember. Maybe I was one of the cool kids. I don't know. But, I mean, it's just a shame that these kids who maybe are having some, like we've talked about before, being a teenager can be a confusing time, especially for, I might piss some people off by saying this, but especially for people who don't have the best home life, don't have a strong faith, don't have, a stable home or consistent meals or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's easy to see how they could wander off the reservation a little bit.
Right. And oftentimes, say you're having trouble finding friends, those kinds of people often congregate together and relish in the fact that they're outcasts.
Yeah.
And will do things just because, I'm not going to be a part of the jocks. I'm going to do this.
That's the people who have green hair or take a pin and put it through their nose or whatever. I mean, whatever. I mean, again.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering what any of this has to do with learning at school.
I want to go over the numbers of this question, though. I think that's important, too. So do you consider yourself transgender, genderqueer, gender fluid, or unsure about your gender identity? The way that we have been led to believe, based on the way people talk, is that number of people who are fluid is somewhere between 25 and 40%.
It's
right?
Like 90%, I think, is what we're led to believe.
The people who answered no on this question, they're sure of their gender, or they're not some other gender. They know. In ninth grade, 97%. In 11th grade, 98%.
Yeah, just think. There's more choices than there are percentage of people who consider themselves that.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be the problem that it's being made out to be. Why doesn't this information, register with any decision makers then?
Right. And the next question is
this question just makes me puke.
A person's appearance, style, dress, or the way they walk or talk may affect how people describe them. How do you think other people at school would describe you? Well, it doesn't, it goes very or mostly feminine, somewhat feminine, equally feminine and masculine, somewhat masculine, very or mostly masculine, but it doesn't tell how many men or women answered the question.
Well, here's how you can put it. Very or somewhat feminine, 42% total.
Yeah.
Somewhat or very masculine, 43% total.
Yeah.
What do you want to bet that's 42% women and 43% men right there?
Exactly.
And the ones in between are just maybe they don't identify as jocks or cheerleaders or something like, they're just middle of the road folks and they don't,
whatever.
Not chugging Mountain Dew on Friday night or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the question in and of itself is something that most of us could never get away with saying.
Right.
Hey, the way you walk, is kind of queer over there. I mean, I couldn't say that to somebody and get away with it. Yeah. So I mean, the way you talk, hey, I mean, is that what they mean?
Yeah, I guess so. Or do you like to show up and? If you're a dude, do you like to show up in a dress?
Klinger. You going to school with Klinger?
So I don't know, but apparently, I think sometimes you're right. It's not as overt as that. It's not, a Bill showed up in a dress today. It's
perception. It's stereotypes.
It's, you know what? I might like to listen to Sarah McLachlan on a Friday night.
She's all right.
I might like a walk in the rain.
Hey man, sometimes Elton John is on my CD. I mean, what's wrong with that? And here's another question.
Yes.
Now, Jay, I'll tell you what. When I was in 8th grade, what I was going to do after high school, after not even being in high school yet, was so far from my mind that felt like it was 50 years away. Mm-hmm. I look back and I realize how stupid I was, but. 8th graders. Yes. Now, this shows how bad of a job we are in getting people to jobs that are needed and out there and good paying and in the marketplace.
Right.
Because guess what everybody wants to do? Go to a 4-year college.
Right. Waste of time.
Well, I mean,
for many.
It depends on your career, but I mean, you wonder why we have attend an apprentice program. 0%.
Wow. That's crazy.
So an apprenticeship for a trade.
Yes.
0%. Mm-hmm. I love other. What's other?
Yeah, I don't know.
A 2-year college, get my GED. Don't plan on graduating from high school. But I mean, you ask 8th graders what they're going to do after high school, and they haven't even gotten there yet. I don't know what you're getting from that. And here's another funny one. How would you describe your grades in school this year? You know what came in 3rd among 5th graders?
What?
None of them.
None of these letter grades. I didn't get any.
Yeah, I didn't get any. I didn't get an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F, or if they even give Fs anymore.
Or incomplete.
Yeah, I got a 12. 1 out of 8 said they don't get anything.
Wow, that's some. Why would they even leave that as an answer?
No. What do you get if you don't get one of those? And we should, Robbinsdale should be, or not Robbinsdale, but we should have the smartest kids in the entire planet if 46% of 8th graders get mostly A's.
Yes.
That A honor roll should have, every school should have 300 kids on it.
It's true.
So obviously we know that this is BS, okay? That's not true. I can tell you that the people I graduated with, there's no way 39% of them had mostly A's.
No.
And still to this day, I can tell you that they don't. And then all these questions about how you feel and Jay, what do you want to do? How should we attack? I want to get on more to the.
Yeah, let's move it. People can read some of this stuff
we
for
don't
themselves.
have to read it to you.
Let's talk about the most egregious stuff.
Well, that's damn near everything.
Well,
but.
yeah. I mean, there's stuff in here that is worse than others.
Well, and I wonder, like, there's something here about after-school supervision.
Yes.
Now, again, I mean, if I'm a school and I see that in fifth grade, 7% of the kids are unsupervised after school.
Yes.
They have to know who these kids are taking these surveys. Yeah. I don't believe them that it's anonymous.
Yeah.
They have to sign in, I think, right, to take this.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I would imagine that they do. Nothing's on paper anymore. I mean, is that a way to go after their parents?
I suppose it could be.
Did you turn that into law enforcement? Hey, little Johnny.
They're mandated reporters.
Yeah, little Johnny says that he's not supervised when he goes home. I mean, fifth grade, they're what, 10 years old?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty young to be home every day after school.
Yeah.
I don't know what the law is, but, I mean...
Well, I don't know.
All right.
I found this interesting. How many times have you... we've talked on this program about discipline policies.
Oh, sure.
And changing, the way that people are suspended or expelled. How many have been sent to the office for discipline? None. 89%, 88%, 92%, 94%.
So that's 5th, 8th, 9th, and 11th.
Yep. How many had in-school suspension? None. 97%, 96%, 97%, 98%. How many have been suspended with out-of-school suspension?
Now, can I ask a question, first of all? Don't the schools know how many kids have been suspended?
Probably.
Why do they need to ask?
Right. But out-of-school suspension, 98%, 98%, 99%, 99%. But somehow we have a problem with this, and we have to redo the way that we're handling suspensions. Nobody's getting suspended, apparently.
Guess not. Now bullying. Oh, we got to have bullying, don't we?
Yes.
Being bullied for specific reasons. During the past 30 days, how often have other students harassed or bullied you for any of the following reasons? Your race, ethnicity, or national origin. Fifth graders, I wonder if anybody could explain ethnicity or national origin. I wonder if a fifth grader could look at another kid and tell me what their national origin is.
No.
Probably not. I bet half the adults can't do that. Never. 92%.
Wow.
In 11th grade, 92%. Never. That's never. Not once the entire time they've been in school. Oh, no, wait. This is in the last 30 days. Never. Your religion. How many people know what your religion is? Were you constantly aware of what everyone's religion was? When you were? I mean, obviously you had some kids... I had some friends I went to church with that went to my school.
Right.
But do you remember anybody saying, I'm Lutheran and you're Catholic. You guys suck.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything like that?
We never had any Ireland versus North Ireland scenarios happen at school. But
my pope can beat up your pope.
But I think that this probably has more to do with Muslims and the hijabs and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, it's totally that. I mean, the very last question says it all. Your gender expression, your style, your dress, or the way you walk and talk.
But wait a second. Before we go to that one, all these Muslims that are supposedly not being welcomed into our society, that are getting bullied, that they have to ask this question? Never. 93%, 93%, 93%, 94%.
Yeah.
So most people are not ever getting bullied. But if we take in the once or twice with it, let's add the never and the once or twice together. 98%, 98%, 98%, 99%.
Yeah.
Never getting bullied about religion.
And several times a week, 0%.
Zero. Once a week, only 1%.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I find that kind of high myself. But
Yeah.
so yeah, your gender expression, style, dress, the way you walk, talk. Again, the never or once or twice,
Yeah.
95 and 96.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that's very, very.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't sound like it's some massive problem. Does
Nope,
it?
and being bullied about just your gender in general, not how you express it, but what you choose. Never or once or twice. I mean, we're looking at 96%, 98%, 98%, and 99%. So all this bullying that they say is happening, and all these programs that they have to put into the schools to try and prevent all of this bullying.
Yeah, state mandates, not to mention.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Now, a few pages later, Table 11 is continuing the bullying. During the last 30 days, how many days have other students at school threatened to beat you up, push, shove, kick, slapped, hit you when they were not kidding around, spread rumors or lies about you, made sexual jokes or gestures, excluded you, didn't let Rudolph play with the rest of the reindeer? And again, the numbers are off the charts, very rare or never.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a handful of 1-2%. I don't know that I buy every day somebody gets threatened to be beaten up.
Yeah.
I mean, in 11th grade,
It happens.
0%. Well, I mean,
It happens, but it's
sometimes
rare.
it's hard to tell whether somebody's joking or not. But
And sometimes, I mean, those people, I mean, nobody ever deserves that.
no,
but
they don't.
sometimes when you're pushed to the edges, you can egg people on too. And I'm not speaking about any one person's specific position or what happens to them. And there are those that get genuinely bullied on a regular basis, and it's sad and it needs to stop. It's never okay to do that for any reason. Well, maybe if they belong to Congress, that's okay. But
I always used to say I never got in a fight with anybody who didn't deserve it. No. But I mean, I hate to say this, but man, when I was in school, a fight happened during every recess. Nobody thought anything of it.
yeah, I mean, I don't.
Nobody brought a
think-
gun to school the next day. Nobody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think these bullying numbers are any different from when I was in school.
I don't think they are either. In fact, I think it's if anything, it's less than ever.
Probably with as much attention as they put on it.
Plus, I asked you on a show if you had ever been, because I had never been bullied once, ever, the entire time I was in school.
Yeah.
I can't think of a time. I can't think of anybody I was afraid of. I honestly, and I don't know if that's because I played sports and I was, not afraid of anybody, or I was a bigger guy. I don't know why that was, but I have never been bullied one time in my life.
Wow.
And I don't know if I'm lucky or what.
Yeah, I
I'm
was,
certainly not
but,
complete.
I mean,
I'm certainly not completely likable.
It was verbally, it wasn't physically. I didn't put up with that, I remember one occasion, I didn't actually hit a guy. He had, but I mean, he was verbally abusive and stuff, and I made a motion toward him. He was wearing a neck brace, and he hauled off and hit me, but I restrained because he was wearing a neck brace. I know another time some guy...
I'd have taken that neck brace and made a pair of boots out of them.
Yeah. I don't remember, another time I don't remember how it came about. That last incident, let me talk about this other one. It was verbal stuff, and
verbal can be the worst
it can.
Sometimes. Yeah.
It can, and he was, I don't know, maybe goofing around, maybe not, but I'm like, stop, you got to stop. It was day after day after day, and it was physical stuff, and I was just I was being patient, and one day I'd had enough, and I just cold cocked him. And I walked into class, and that was that. And the next day he comes up to me and says, I think I owe you something. and he punched me, right in the jaw. And I just smiled at him and I said, "That was a good try." And I walked into class, and he got so
that happened
mad.
to Opie in the Andy
He got
Griffith
so
show.
bad. You don't want somebody to smile at you and say "nice try" when they you hit them. So
No, and I have
but I mean that it does happen.
I got to say, I got my share of contretemps, but I wasn't afraid, so it was just kind of one of those. I was more afraid of my mom and dad when I got home than I was of anything else, because although my dad was a tough guy, he didn't really put up with me doing that.
No,
stuff.
and I
didn't want me to be a bully either,
right.
and I think but
I didn't do that as that's the one time I ever hit somebody. Was that time, and I don't know. Otherwise, I put up with it.
And I hate to say this, but you know what? Kids have to be taught how to defend themselves.
They do, and I think
and violence is the last resort.
Okay. Yeah,
but how many times do you stand up to a bully and the bully? It's probably the one good thing about Rocky V. It's like it's like sometimes if a bully, if you run and tattle every time, which I can understand, but you stand up to somebody and you have to learn to toughen up. It's a hard subject because not everybody's capable of defending themselves, and there's retaliation and things like that. But I was always one that if I got in a contretemps, I knew that I wasn't scared the next day. I was more scared of getting in trouble than I was anything else at the school or. Oh, God, the last thing in the world was a phone call or something on our answering machine before cell phones.
Right.
What the heck? What was going through my mom and dad's mind when they got home before. But I do remember one incident where this kid who was kind of a bully, I remember I had a piece of gum and he tried to get it from me and I wouldn't let him have it. And I remember I looked down, it was like George McFly in Back to the Future. I looked down and my fist was cocked. I was about 12 or 13. And I just remember, I'm like, you know what? You blankety, I am not giving you anything. Go, blah, blah, blah. And he just kept jawing.
Yeah.
And the next thing I knew, I've never hit, it was like smack, like hitting a piece of meat. And he did like 2 twirls and stumbled somewhere. Of course, I got sent to the office and blah, blah, blah. But, man, that guy never messed with me again.
Yeah.
Never, not one time. His friends never did. I mean, literally, it was like I got the hallway parted for me when I stood up to him. So, there's I don't know if things have changed that much or what,
I don't think things have changed at all.
Yeah.
But there's nothing new under the sun. Isn't that the way the saying goes?
Probably. Now, can I go on to this next question here?
Yes.
During the last 30 days, how often have you been bullied through email, chat rooms, instant messaging, websites, or texting? 5th grade. You know what 5th grade should be? All zeros not apply.
Right.
What 5th grader needs email, needs a cell phone, needs to be in chat rooms? You don't know who you're chatting with.
No.
Be on websites. It is ridiculous that any of them are even on.
You know what I told my kids when they were in 5th grade? You will have a cell phone when I need to know where you are.
Yeah, or you'll have a cell phone when you pay for it.
Well, I paid for it, but I'm like, till I need to know where you are, you don't need to have a phone.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is that security, I guess, of being able to get a hold of them.
Right.
Whenever needed. I guess I can understand that. Jay, what should we skip to now?
Oh, we're just going from gooder to less gooder. I don't know.
How about family composition and situations?
Yeah, sure.
Which adult do you live with? Both biological parents. Listen to all the choices.
Okay.
Both adoptive parents. Mother and stepfather. Father and stepmother. Mother and partner. Father and partner. Mother only. Father only. Sometimes with mama. Sometimes with papa. Other. No adults.
Oh.
5th graders, 2% live with no adults.
Really?
Just pointing that out. That is less than 11th graders at 1%. Do I not believe some people here?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
Do I not believe them? And again, How do the schools not know this? Don't they know where the kid lives?
Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely they do.
They have an emergency contact. Could be their mom or dad.
Yeah.
They have a backup. I know for my nephew, I can come get him in an emergency or something. My wife and I can if my sister or my brother-in-law can't. They know damn well who's in the house.
Yes.
Why do they have to ask that? I mean, 2% of fifth graders live with no adult.
Mm-hmm.
Now listen to this next question.
Yes.
During the past 12 months, have you stayed in a shelter, somewhere not intended as a place to live, or someone else's home because you have no other place to stay? Now, fifth graders did not answer this. Everybody else was 1% yes, and I still don't even believe that. Yes, with parents or why do they need to know that?
I don't know.
If somebody loses their home or it can be embarrassing enough.
Right.
Or have to go to a shelter. Why does their kid need to be, identified? Have your parents ever been in jail or prison? What's the difference?
Well,
what's a jail and what's a prison?
Prison is more like a long-term kind of deal, isn't it?
Jail's just like at Hazard?
Yeah.
The jail?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly like that.
Look at this here. In 8th grade, 16% have had a parent or a guardian in jail in prison.
Huh.
Do you believe that?
I don't know.
Across the entire state,
No.
1 out of 6 kids have a parent in jail.
I highly doubt that.
I don't believe that whatsoever. What, did they get pulled in because they were late on some child support payments or what? I mean, that's... And then there's all these questions about whether you can,
talk to your mother or
or
father.
care about. Or, this is the stuff I want to get to, though, and we'll try to speed it up a little bit here. Do you live with anyone who drinks alcohol too much? Do you live with anyone who uses illegal drugs or abuses prescription drugs? When you were a kid, did you know what kind of prescription drugs your mom or dad took?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
I'm not alone then. Does your parent regularly swear at you? Okay. My father, who's a great man, used the F or S word a lot. Anytime he worked on something in the garage, I could hear tools flung against the...
It was like Christmas Story.
He couldn't fix anything. With all due respect to my father, he couldn't fix... He couldn't plug something in and get it to work. But he was very stubborn and thought he could fix things. So you should have heard if the Vikings were losing what came out of his mouth. But, that was just... I don't know, a way of life, I guess. But has your parent or other adult in your house ever physically kicked or hurt you in any way? Has any adult outside of the house ever touched you sexually against your wishes or forced you to touch them?
That's awkward.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean... could conjure up some very bad memories for people, too, who don't want to relive that.
It could, and also it's rare, but it happens with kids where I'm mad at mom and or dad today. Yeah. I am going to answer this in a way that hurts them.
Yeah, that I know. Relationship violence. 8th graders.
Yes.
8th graders. Now, Jay, I'm going to tell you, by the time I was in 8th grade, I sure as hell didn't have a girlfriend yet. Have you ever had a boyfriend or girlfriend in a serious relationship? This is 8th grade.
Yes.
Who called you names or put you down verbally? Who slapped or physically hurt you on purpose? Who pressured you to sex when you didn't want to? Okay, I guess 8th graders weren't asked that. Have you ever done any of the following? Okay, that's kind of the same question.
Yeah, it's have you ever done these things?
Oh, have you ever? Yeah.
Yes.
So, and of course, pretty much no one admits to that. A few people, maybe. A few interesting people.
Yes.
Now come the health question. Now, first, again,
Yes.
out of line here by a school. Let me ask you something, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
If I was on the internet and I was in a chat room talking to an 8th grader and I asked them these questions, I could be classified as a pedophile for doing so.
Yeah.
Nobody would accept, hey, I'm just trying to, help these kids and, make sure they put a hat on Mr. Johnson before they do something to blah, blah, blah. I'm encouraging them to see, nobody would buy that.
Yeah.
You could never do this. And these people these are not doctors who are administering this. This is where I really get worried is asking about people's health and how they feel, because you know how I feel about labeling kids with mental illnesses.
Yes.
And after they do a few questions about your health in general, whether you have asthma, what does that have to do with school? Right. Listen to this question. Do you have any long-term mental health, behavior, or emotional problems? Long-term meaning lasting 6 months or more. Look at the percentage that say yes. It's about 5 times as high as bullying.
Yes.
8th grade, 1 out of 6 say they have a mental health issue.
Wow.
I mean, really?
Well, I mean, look at the way that we push drugs, antidepressants, things like that on our children, and so they think there's something wrong with them.
It's all been clever marketing.
Yes.
Clever marketing to get people to think something's wrong with them. And it kind of goes on a little bit further than that in some of these next. I'm skipping over a few things, Jay.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by little interest or pleasure in doing things? Over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been feeling down, depressed, or hopeless? And there's a very high percentage that say that. Not at all is in the 50 to 60% range. A lot of them are nearly every day. Now, those people, I guarantee, are being targeted for drugs, for some sort of suicide prevention program, something like that. They're going to get all those people, get them on ADD, get them on bipolar medication, and that's really scary. When and here's another thing too. What is the science behind mental illness? And I ask this in all seriousness. If I went to a doctor and I said, hey, I think I might have diabetes, is the doctor going to go, okay, you feel that way? I tell you what, how about you take a little insulin over there in the cabinet,
right,
and take it on home?
Yep, not going to run any tests. Not going to, no.
I'm going to get a comprehensive exam of family history, blood tests, sugar levels. I'll probably have to come back and do it again.
Yeah.
I had high blood pressure at one time. I've had it many times. And they didn't take my word for it. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
We ran tests. We ran them again and again and again, found it out, and I got it lowered. But if I walk into it, and I have had firsthand experience doing this, Jay, where somebody tried to tell me, if I was I'm trying to remember how she worded this. If you're not feeling yourself, or you're feeling a little down and out about this, we can give you something. And I'm like, what? Yeah. I had nothing as a diet. That passes for science nowadays.
Yes.
So and I know there's some people out there who genuinely believe in that stuff, and I feel sorry for you if you do, to be honest. So, vehicle safety. When driving a car, often do you wear a seatbelt? Now, by the way, have we had one question having to do with academics?
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to get there.
Oh, other than graduating.
Oh, what you're going to do?
What you want to do after you're done with school. Yeah.
When driving, how often do you make a phone call or answer the phone? Can't believe everybody doesn't put always.
Everybody in 5th grade was no.
Yeah. Yeah, so they ask all about suicidal thoughts here.
Yes.
Have you ever seriously considered attempting suicide? No. Can you believe this? Okay, first off, something's wrong here.
Yes.
In 8th grade, 83% say no, 12% say yes during the last year, 9% say yes more than a year ago. Well, that adds up to 104%.
Well, maybe some kids are
both?
Are all, yeah.
Have you ever actually attempted suicide? 7% have actually. Do you believe that?
Maybe.
Yes during the last year or yes more than a year ago. In 8th grade, I wouldn't have known how to kill myself.
Well, we lost one of our class in, gosh, how old? What grade was that? Was that fourth grade?
That's not 7%, but
no,
yeah.
but fourth grade, I think.
On purpose?
Yeah. So it's rare, but
Count me as somebody who doesn't believe those numbers, though.
Yeah.
Man. Questions about beating people up. If you witness, here's another one: gambling behavior. 8th grader. You ever played cards, bet on sports teams, video games, pool, golf, or bowling?
Okay. You ever...
2% say daily.
You ever watch any Gladiator movies?
Yeah. Ever been in a men's locker room? This is the other one.
Jimmy, you ever?
This is the other one.
Yeah.
Ever bought a lottery ticket or a scratch off?
Fifth graders do it all the time.
Yeah, once a week, 1%. That fifth grader goes in there and gets that scratch. Must be the 13-year-olds. Gamble in a casino. 1% of
really,
eighth graders
you show me
do
the
that.
casino.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, and they're hiding their gambling problem from their parents, by the way. You'll be glad to know.
Yes.
Then a whole bunch of questions about tobacco, alcohol, who uses it in your house, who blows it in your face, who gets drunk and does this. I mean, here's another thing. During the last 30 days, have you smoked any cigarettes? This is fifth graders that they're asking us. Fifth grade. 1% have had a cigarette in the last 30 days. 1% have used pot, weed, hash, or hash oil. I don't even know what those things are. Don't even tell me. I don't want to know. 2% of fifth graders have sniffed glue or inhaled contents of aerosol spray cans to get high. Really?
Wow. Okay. You kind of skipped over the nutrition section.
Oh, God.
What is this? During the last 7 days, how many times did you drink 100% fruit juices, such as orange, apple, or grape juice? And then the next question is, how many times did you eat fruit? What's with...
And I'll tell you what, the drug hallucination questions get even worse.
Yeah.
Asking 8th, 9th, and 11th graders how many times they've used LSD, smoked a joint, done shrooms, angel dust. I don't even know what this stuff is. I wouldn't know it if it was in front of me. Ecstasy, roofies, ketamine, Special K, crack, coke, cocaine, heroin, meth.
Special K, that's something I put strawberries on and put milk over.
Yeah, well, y'all have my Lucky Charms or something. You can have that.
Well, I don't say I like it. I mean, it's definitely not as good as grape nuts. All right. Yeah, wow.
So, yeah, constant substance abuse questions. And again, I still haven't run over a question that has anything to do with learning anything.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say a kid does try a cigarette. I mean, it's...
How often have you run away from home? How often have you damaged or destroyed property? How often have you taken something from a store without paying for it?
What time is it? No. Oh, and of course we have, it's always buried at the end, the sexual question.
Yes.
9th graders and 11th graders, have you had sexual intercourse? 9th grade, 11% yes. 89% no. In 11th grade, 35% yes. 65% no. I still don't believe those numbers.
Right.
That's just me. I don't buy it. During the last 12 months, how many different partners have you had? Now, here's an interesting thing.
Yes.
In 9th grade, 95% say none. But 11% have had sex. So
Okay.
when did you have sex? When you were in 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade?
I don't know.
Oh, boy. Well, nobody answered 5 persons. 1% answered 6 or more.
Was that person named Wilt Chamberlain?
I don't know. Maybe Gene Simmons,
Or,
maybe?
no.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's hard to believe, too.
Yeah.
How many times have you been pregnant or gotten someone pregnant? 1 time, 1%.
Not
in
sure.
11th grade.
1%.
Not sure.
I don't know. I don't know.
And then there's all sorts of contraceptive questions. I just really kind of, Jay, I'm gonna ask you these questions. You take this survey.
All right.
Gee whiz. Have you talked with your partner about preventing pregnancy? Never. 33%. Really? Then how can only 1% be not sure if they're parents or not?
Oh my goodness.
Boy, am I oh God, some of the questions here. Some of the choices. God, I'm just hesitant to read this. The last time you had intercourse, what one method did you use to prevent pregnancy? Here are the choices. No method, birth control, condoms. I have no idea what this is, but I'm going to try to read it. Depo-Prava, any birth control shot, Nuva ring, any birth control ring, or any IUD.
Depo is a shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that like the morning after pill or something maybe? Too?
No,
Or-
I don't. It's I don't know.
Okay.
Something that prevents pregnancy from happening. It's
Okay.
not after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's withdrawal or pullout, some other method, and my favorite percent, not sure. Well, you did one of them here. I mean, how could 6% be not sure?
I don't know what it was called.
You used a condom or you didn't. You used birth control or you didn't. You used nothing or you didn't. So, do you drink alcohol before the last sexual intercourse? Guys, let me tell you something. Don't do that. Okay, but 15% of 9th graders drank before.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, well, probably. I mean, surprised that number's not higher, to be honest. There are the things. I mean, we just scratched the surface, Jay, but
Yes.
there are the things being asked of your kid. If you were the parent of a 5th grader, an 8th grader, 9th grader, or 11th grader, and if you have kids in school, there's a good chance that they're one of them.
Yes.
They are going to take this survey. Okay? And I think it is time for parents to fight back against this stuff. This is not related to people's academics. This is private information.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know what schools are doing with this information.
Me too. And
You can't tell me they're doing nothing.
yeah. Why is the state collecting all this information, and what are they doing with it?
No kidding. And I mean, And if they are collecting this information, why are they doing the opposite of what the kids are showing? Like you showed about 2%, or trans fluid or whatever you call it. Yet
trans fluid, that's like that's what you put in your car, isn't it?
What did I mean then?
Maybe that's right. I don't even.
Trans fluid?
Maybe that's gender fluid. Yeah, trans fluid is what you put in to make sure your transmission doesn't strip out.
Well, you might need that too.
That's true.
In fact, you're more likely to use trans fluid than you are gender fluid. But anyway, yes. I mean, the point being
you look a little low on gender fluid today, Andrew.
Well, just repair my headlight while you're at it. Anyhow, yes. I mean, the point being that kids don't get a chance to be kids anymore. And to put fifth graders in particular, and even eighth graders, through these tests or these surveys, wondering if they're answering it honestly or not, under the guise that they're anonymous, which I don't believe either, really is abusive.
Yeah.
I mean, it really goes far and beyond what schools are supposed to be doing. And how do we get this to turn in the other direction? Because I think that I'm going to say one other thing too.
Yeah.
I went on a few districts' websites. I won't name the districts because I haven't done as thorough of an investigative job as maybe I could have. And I can't find this survey on their websites. You'll hear it alluded to. They'll link to the Department of Education. But are parents being shown these questions?
Oh, no.
Or are they just being told, hey, Susie or Billy or whoever are going to be taking this survey? It's nothing to worry about. We're just, testing their mental health or something.
Yeah.
And then they're being subjected to all these questions like that. I mean, if I got this in fifth grade, I'd have probably gone home to my mom and dad and said, hey, what's trans butt? And they'd have been like, where the hell did you hear that?
Yeah.
I could just picture my mom and dad marching down to the school complaining about it.
Yeah.
So
mine would, yeah.
I don't think that I think parents are being informed of as little as possible about some of this. And the mental health stuff I worry about because the school's going to say, well, so-and-so said this, so we're going to recommend that they go to the doctor and get drugged with that.
Yeah.
And you're going to probably see more upticks in that stuff. And we got kids as young as 5 or 6 years old being diagnosed bipolar. There's no way that that's possible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these surveys, I'd like to know where they're going, who's seeing this, and, how long this data is stored, which is probably forever, and what conclusions are being based on it. And there's just no way to get that information at all. There's no set of steps as to how these things are being. Maybe you've got the 21 people in the Robbinsdale district dealing with equity. Yet, as we saw on here, the kinds of things that they claim that are happening, the students aren't agreeing with.
No. The numbers, and I think those numbers are probably more honest than some of the other ones because you're not implicating yourself if you're being bullied, versus if you're taking drugs or engaging in other risky behavior. Yeah. I think people would cover over for their parents or things like that. But I think if you're getting bullied, those numbers are probably pretty realistic.
Oh, wow.
It's just not happening to most people.
Well, it never happened to me.
Yeah.
I can say that with absolute certainty. But, I mean, it's kind of a jungle out there. And, you parents got to stay on top of this stuff. I mean, this is really scary. Would you consent to an adult you barely know asking your kids these questions? Then why is it any different if the schools do it?
Yeah, they have no business in this.
They're institutions of learning,
yeah.
Not social engineers. You're not social justice warriors. They don't belong in the heads of our kids. And so pay attention to these surveys. The 2022 one is already being planned and plotted. and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to know who comes up with these questions too.
Yeah.
I mean, who's the consulting firm or what's the origin of these questions?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Who the hell knows? The Department of Education, broken clocks right twice a day, but that's more than the Department of Education has been in the last 25 years. So,
and I will guarantee you that this was not created by the Department of Education here in Minnesota.
No way.
No.
They either copied it from somewhere else or they got some sort of outside group to come in and do that. So,
yep.
So, surveys, equity, your kid's head
no bueno.
Is getting filled with stuff beyond belief. And there are days, Jay, I'm not a parent. There are days I wish I was. There are days like today I'm so thankful I'm not.
Yeah. I'm always glad to be a parent. Yeah. However, there are days where
it's harder than others.
There are days where if I could share my mind with the school and not think that they're going to take it out on my kid. Yeah.
Share it anyway.
Yeah. You got to, and that's the thing.
If they don't hear from you, then...
That's really the moral of the story here. As a parent, you got to know what your kids are learning. You got to know what they're doing in their free time at school. You got to know all of that. And you got to communicate with the school and the school board. And, this is also important, why it's important to be on an advisory commission with the school, because you can help guide and steer some of this stuff before it ever gets to the kids. So, whether it's in a school, whether it's a city, whether it's a county, you got to be involved. And that's
PTA
a great way to
is
start.
another option, too.
Yeah.
Parents can have a lot of say and influence.
Absolutely. So, that's the first step. Step into something like that. And if you like it and you want to run for a school board or something, that gives you the power to make those decisions. And so it's important that we take it back, because they're not moving in the right direction. So we need people in there that will move in the right direction, which is sheltering our kids from stuff that they don't need before they're ready. Let's maintain some of the innocence that our kids still might have, and let's do right by them instead of just shoving all this down their throat and causing problems before they need to occur. I don't know. If you see this stuff happening in your community, let us know. We will talk about these surveys. We will let you know, let you as Minnesota know what is happening where, as we hear about it, and help you know how to fight back against this stuff. But to do that, you got to take a step forward. You got to be willing to be among the counted people who want to do something rather than just sit and complain as something is done to them. So with that, we're going to go away and come up with another fantastic episode for next week. But in the meantime, you got some homework. You got some things to do. Because we love you, Minnesota. But now it's your turn to get to work.
Get too caught up.